All right, more off-the-cuff bullshit from Kevin in LA. I just did one on how I'm a fat piece of shit. I hope you enjoyed that. I want to talk about Twitter for a bit. I did not understand Twitter for the longest time. I thought that Twitter was just I was like, what the fuck? Like, who wants to hear what I have to say in 140 characters? Like, I'm a pretty loquacious individual. Like, I need a little room to breathe when I'm saying something, when I'm writing something. Like, I mean, my prose is not like very, I'm not Ernest Hemingway or anything like that. I mean, I tend to get like pretty flowery in my speech and stuff. So, like, I was like, I can't do that. And then I was like, who wants to hear it anyway? And they're like, how do you even start? What amazing thing do you say that then suddenly people want to listen to you? So for a long time, I just didn't bother with it. I was on Facebook, I did other stuff, but I never did Twitter. But then one day I just was like fucking around or something, and I was on Twitter and somebody said something, and I responded to somebody's Twitter with a tweet of my own. And then suddenly there are people who like actually paid attention and responded to that, and then I responded to them, and I was like, oh, that's how this works? I mean, we talk to each other, like it goes back and forth. It isn't just like this thing that you put out there. And once I figured that out, I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna give this a try. So I started out, let's say like 3 months ago, with 9 followers. 9, like, fuck, I mean, I'm pretty sure they were all just like chicks in their underwear, because the whole chicks in their underwear, I'm gonna get to that, but like chicks in their underwear and like laundry services or something like that, like things that I don't even know why they followed me, but I've gone from 9 followers to about now 732 followers as of last check. I'd show you, but I got all this shit set up and I'm copying stuff. I'm just busy today. Today is a very busy day for me. So I don't know if that's good. I'm pretty proud of it. I'm pretty proud of all those people. I have basically like 10 people who like pretty much just like talk to me like every day, like Greg R. and this lady named Scarlett something, and this other lady named Abby who's really nice, and I talked to her and she had some troubles, and we actually like direct messaged some, and I like tried to help her with her problems, and it was really nice, you know. And then you meet people on there, and you kind of like, and I met this like really nice, well, actually I met this transgendered woman named Princess May, who was like really mean, and I was like, hey lady, I mean, don't be, you know, this is what I do on Twitter. Like, people come at you and they're like, this is what we're gonna, political shit, and I'm just like, hey, you know what? We can talk about this like adults, and then I like kind of like cool it down, and then we talk about it, and then we end up being friends. So I like have friends who are on the other side of this, who are total douchebags, but like as human beings, they're not too terrible. They're like nice human beings. They just have really, really wrong ideas. So this Princess May person was like really mean, and then I was like, she was like this, and then I was like, let's chill out. And then she was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm just really angry. And then she direct messaged me and was like, can we be friends? And I was like, sure, we can be friends. And so we talked for a while, and then the night, like after 2 days, I said something about like these kids. I like said this guy was being an asshole for pointing out that these kids who are doing the from the shooting, right? And they're like, they took a selfie and they were like, hey, I'm a high school kid, I'm smiling and all that. And then fucking James Woods, James Wood is like the biggest asshole on the face of the planet. This is these interesting things that I've discovered. It's like James Wood is like seriously an asshole. And there are just a few people who just are just like really, really assholes. But James Woods is like the big one. And I like to tease James Wood and be like, oh man, I loved you in RoboCop. because it wasn't him. It was Peter Weller in RoboCop, and I find that shit hilarious. But I don't. He never responds to me, of course. But then his followers respond to me, and I get in these huge fights with his followers. Anyway, back to the thing. So I disagreed with James Woods about this whole thing, and I was like, you're fucking pathetic. You know what? These kids have hope in their faces for the like. You know, like they're not being disingenuous when they're saying that they dealt with this tragedy. I mean, it's just part of dealing with the tragedy is like getting over the tragedy and moving on and like figuring out what to do next. So I just thought that was really shitty. And so then this girl May was like, "Oh, you disagreed, so that's censorship." And then she was like, "I don't ever want to talk to you again." And then she blocked me completely. And that's the kind of shit, I guess, that happens on Twitter, but it just kind of, like, really surprised me, because I was like, what? We had all this talk, and I thought we were kind of like, you know, he was like, you asked me to be friends, bitch. I didn't ask you to be my friend. You were the one who did that. Like, whatever. So, that's the kind of stuff that can happen. But, like, this whole thing is, like, people just... Twitter is better than Facebook, because Facebook is just kind of like, at this point, it's just an echo chamber, because Facebook wants so badly to get your advertising dollars that they shape the experience so much to be everything that you want to see. Like, I think sometimes they like drop in like a conservative viewpoint if you're liberal, and vice versa, just to like make it seem like it, but there's nothing really there. If you like go on Facebook and say, I think we need to like get all the guns and do all this stuff and blah blah blah, all you're gonna get is your buddy saying, yeah, I agree with you, I mean, we totally do. And then on the other side, it's like libtard this and libtard that, and fuck all these like people, and I hate California and it's the worst place on earth, and they're all like, yeah. So it's just like, that's, you know. Sorry, I'm getting messages from my mom and my sister while I'm doing this. Guys, would you just... I mean, they're not going to hear... Forget it. I can do this. So, anyway. But at least on Twitter, you kind of go in there and it's like everybody is like blah, 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 blah. And you're reading it and it's like fucking, you know, Larry Elder and like fucking like people on the left and people on the right and fucking that... fucking black sheriff dude with the hat who's like ridiculous, you know. You just like all these people, you get a lot of different like opinions, and then you can like deal with, and then you can like kind of talk about those opinions and like actually do stuff. And I think that my biggest problem is that I'm just too reasonable, and I actually make arguments that probably like they can't like just shoot. Like, everybody just wants to fight. And that's what's sexy on Twitter. Everybody just wants to fight and make noise and be the next one who's paid attention to. And nobody actually wants to solve anything, because if you solve it, then you don't have anything to fight about. So I go on and I'm just like, I'm going to argue with you. But at some point, the argument has to end, because one side is like, has more than the other. And like, then they just go away. And then they don't want to talk to you again, because they know that you're just going to be able to like talk them out of the argument. So really, I like literally had to go on Twitter and be like, could somebody please come and disagree with my point of view, because I just want to talk to somebody. I'm bored here. So Twitter is like interesting, but it's just still the same nonsense, you know. But you know, it could be worse. Whatever. Could be Instagram. Instagram, I kind of like Instagram, but mostly I like Instagram because, like, it's so visual. Like, I kind of like that part of it, but, like, the problem with Instagram is you can't do it in public, because when I go on my Instagram, it's like, I'm scrolling through and it's like, mean, giant ass. Oh, there's Bianca Beauchamp. Her giant ass in a thong is, like, sticking out of the page. Oh, here's this other person that I follow. She's like wearing like a fox costume and her boobies are sticking out. You know, it's like all this stuff. It's like porn almost, which I like, but like you can't just, you know, you can't be just sitting there in church doing that. Not that I would, but you know. What else? No, that's pretty much it. So that's my thing on Twitter. I like it. I'm on there all the time. I'm at Kevin and Kev1N in LA, all one word, and you can follow me. And I always got good stuff to say. I've never said anything that I'm ashamed of on there. Maybe that's my problem. But I have said before in the past that if I had known about, I'm glad that I just discovered Twitter now, because if I had known about Twitter when I was drinking, I don't even know. Like, I would have been banned. I would have been horrible. I would have been like telling all the women, writing like long love poems to all the women on there, and telling all the guys that, they were stupid. I mean, I kind of do that now, but like to a greater extent, like to the extent when you're drunk, it's not good. So, all right. Anyway, I will talk to you soon. Love you, birdies. See you in the funny papers.